Good morning, Prof. Good morning. How are you?
Hi, baby. Good morning. I'm fine. Thank you. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm good. Thank you. It is a beautiful Sunday morning. I'm so glad I'm alive. I'm healthy. Family is good. So, yeah, last week we were celebrating Mother's Day. It was, a good thing, celebrating all the mothers. And then on the other end, in the last week as well, we've heard about the sad loss of Sarah. I can't remember her surname now. Everett, right? Yes. So, and I mean, that news really broke my heart in terms of, how can someone just go out to see a friend and then walk back home and all of a sudden just disappeared from there. I mean, that really, I don't know. And there's been so many things off the back of this. We've heard about the protest, the video that was going to be held and didn't hold, but there's been protests going on at the moment. I mean, what do you think? What do you see to this?
Maybe it's sad, right? But these are the contradictions with which we have to live in a broken world. Because on the one hand, like you said, we were, of course, last week when we were having Mother's Day, this had already happened. Okay, It had already happened at the time it was, but it kind of subsequently gathered steam. And of course, we recognize that there are families who are mourning for this, and we don't take that lightly, and we mourn with them. But living in a broken world, on the one hand, we're celebrating mothers, and then on the other hand, a mother to be mother in waiting, has had a life just cut short because it's just senseless, right? It doesn't make any sense. And these are the things. And for me, this particular story links back to what we were talking about, actually, when we were talking about inequality in life and social activism, if you remember. And we talked about how you see injustice in different ways and how different people might face different challenges, and how sometimes if we don't feel directly impacted by those challenges or by those inequalities, we might sort of dismiss them. But then when those things come closer to home, because I think for many people, why there's been such an outrage for many people is that this kind of hits close to home, right? It's not an other, right? It's not an other person in terms of, say different skin color. It's not an other person in terms of a different, say, sexual orientation or even different worldview. But for many people, many of the people protesting, it's somebody who they can see themselves in and see their loved ones in, and things like that always kind of put things into perspective. That's why we would say for ourselves, we shouldn't really. It shouldn't really need to be that something hits home before we are able to see it for what it is,
Yeah. I mean, I hear you on that, because as you rightly said, it is a lot easier to get to work, do some things because this thing really hits home. But when you hear about it before and it's so far away from you, you can literally just be like, well, I'm not gonna get involved in that. I know. And I remember on this show, we have addressed something similar where we say, even as Christians, are we meant to just, what is our role in all of these things? So, because, with like, one thing I thought about when I heard about the sad news was that I remember the days where I would literally leave my house in London at 11 p.m., quarter to 12, going out. I'm not talking about driving. I'm talking about literally going out for a walk. And it was safe to do so. And I never felt any sort of fear or I don't know. I mean, like now, because some of the things that people are saying is, it seems women are no longer safe. We are not safe on the streets. We can't go out. And it's now a case of women against men kind of a thing. I mean, what do you say to that?
Well, I'd say it's not a case of women against men. I think it's one of these logical fallacies where people try to paint an entire population based on the actions of the minority. That just never works. You don't use the minority to describe the majority, right? Yeah. So it doesn't work with race, it doesn't work with sex, it doesn't work with ethnicity, it doesn't work anywhere. So let's not even go there, right? But I think that what you've pointed out, though, is a fact in so many ways, right? I think that many cultures would recognize that there are places, and let's stick to the issue of male, female, men, women, because you could extend this to other areas, but that's not what we're talking about, right? We're talking of women in particular. And you can see that there are many areas and many times and many contexts within which you might say, for a woman, oh, this is not safe, right? You go to a party and then you're more concerned and more worried, say, than men about somebody spiking your drink and doing something. Of course, it does happen to men, but not as often. You're in a place walking at night, and then you're more concerned about somebody trying to take advantage and other. And I think this points out something, right? I mean, people could make the argument and say, well, this has always been going on, and this is the norm in a sense. But I always go back to my what I would say. I'd say, love does not rejoice in injustice, and love looks for the truth. Should it be the case? Should it be the case that just because somebody is of a different sex, a different gender, then suddenly their safety becomes something that they're concerned about? I would say it should not be. And as Jesus was saying when he talked about this issue of marriage, he said, in the beginning it was not so. And I think for us, you would say that. Certainly you wouldn't think that in God's plan that would be the case.
It
tells us that something is broken, something is not right. If a woman feels less secure, and we should not try to deny that, we should not try to minimize that, feels less secure for whatever reason, that's something that we should be concerned about. And we should ask the question, why?
Do you know what, Prof? Sorry, just to jump in there. I think you're absolutely right. But for speaking as a woman now, remembering growing up as a girl, as a little girl, I was not allowed out of my house after 8 p.m., right? But my brothers were allowed to be out till whatever time they liked. And it wasn't just us. All my friends around me. So all my friends like that were girls will say to ourselves, oh, we can't be out after 8. So whatever we want to do, let's get it done before 8 o'clock. But the guys would have longer hours outside. But then again, when you think about it, would you say they have brought us up in that way to live that life of fear? So as a woman, you're walking outside with the fear of, oh, I might be attacked. So I need to make sure I have all my defenses up and all of those things. Do you think it has to do with the way we've been brought up as well? Because if you ask me, I've heard some funny things about what the government can do about, making sure that we protect women and all of those things. And I'm sure you have one that you were going to say earlier. And I said, please hold that thought because I didn't want you to just share it with me alone. And, it's when you think about it, does that mean that women naturally would have to live like this for the rest of our lives? Like we feel every time we're out there, there's always the fear of being attacked. So even though a man is allowed to walk outside at 12 midnight, a woman isn't allowed because she might not be able to defend herself.
Yeah, so I think with the example you gave, obviously there are a couple of different sides to that. I know you talked just about the safety side, but of course in our cultures, one of the reasons why also you might have been told that growing up is a perception, So they would say, oh, only women of a particular kind of behavior will stay outdoors.
But you see them outside at that time.
Yeah. So sometimes it wasn't a question of safety, it was just a question of decorum and perception. But that's, of course, you're talking of the safety aspect, which is true. And in fact, in certain places, right, and you hear some of these terrible stories, it doesn't even need to be at night. It could be right in the middle of the day, just be in the wrong place, right? So some of these things are terrible. And for me, that brings me to the kind of point I think you raised. I find it interesting that you used the word, you said 8 p.m. and that, you gave a particular time. And I think you know what I'm about to say. According to a peer in the House of Lords, one of the solutions is to give all men a curfew of 6 p.m. And then, when they stay at home, then the streets will be safer.
Really?
Well, obviously, I think that was said. That was not said seriously. I think what the Baroness had in mind when she said it was exactly this, so people would react and think about what she said. But the point is being made, right? Actually, the point she was making is similar to what you said earlier, which is that when women are told, don't don't leave home outside of XYZ time, nobody bats an eye, nobody talks about it. But when you say that to men, look at the reaction.
Even I am like, what?
Yeah. So of course, it's the context within which it's said that's also part of the reaction. True. But that brings a more serious question. So how do you resolve this? How do you deal with this? What is the solution to this? Maybe my answer, and it might not be very helpful on the one hand, but on the other hand, I believe really this is where the answer lies. Questions like what this one are questions that have been being asked for generations. You know, of course, this didn't just start now. Whatever inequalities we're talking of didn't start today. In this case, we're talking of, the safety of women. But every kind of inequality we're talking of didn't start today. There has always been inequality of one form or another. There has always been injustice of one form or another. And in a broken world, such as we're in, there will still be injustice. Do you know where that injustice comes from? I believe I do. Jeremiah chapter 17, and I believe his verse 9 says, the heart of man is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? And this is the starting point for our gospel, right? That says that mankind is lost. Mankind spiritually is dead, that there is a deadness that comes from that. And you don't reverse spiritual death by education, by awareness, campaigns, sensitization, protests. In fact, a desperately wicked heart, the more information and education you give it, the more ways it will find.
The more ways it finds, yes, true.
Which is why, so-called civilization, all of these things, don't wipe away these things, because it's an issue of the state of man, the state of the heart. And when I say man, I'm using man in general. I'm not just talking of men, I'm talking of mankind, because you see similar things across both genders. You hear of acts of terrible wickedness, and you say, why would people be involved in this? In this particular case, I mean, maybe it's not being talked about as much, but one of the people that were questioned in this case was supposedly a lady, right, a woman who was questioned around these issues. And we've heard stories. Fred West, and what's the lady's name? Is it Mary West? I can't remember. Fred West. They were a notorious killer couple in the UK. Just read up their story, both male and female. And they would just go along at night, find people, pick them up, and do terrible things. And you ask, why do people do this? I believe it's the lostness of man. Yes, of course, we will support the government. We will do what we need to do. I want you to talk about it, like we said earlier, speak out against injustice in all its forms, and be, even our neighbors' keepers, starting from where we are, right? So when we see things being done wrong, we should speak out. When we see men treating women badly in their relationships, we should at least certainly not support what is wrong, and vice versa. But ultimately, I do not think that we will, just like we haven't for the past 200, 300 years, been able to wipe out things like poverty, wipe out things like this. I'm not really sure that we'll get to a situation where we'll be able to completely wipe them out. I think that the hope for humanity really is, can you imagine if it were possible to change the hearts of people?
I know.
To turn their hearts so that their hearts go from being desperately wicked to being full of love and oriented towards what is good.
And you know what, this really links back to talking about mothers. And I'm not just saying, because we want to place everything on mothers. It's also fathers as well, in terms of how we bring up our children at home. Because as they say, charity begins at home. Some of these things, I believe that if you're wicked, the Bible says you're wicked from your mother's womb. Do you understand? So if you're even wicked from your mother's womb, once you're given birth to, if your mother and your father are interested in making sure that you're not a wicked child, right? They will do the right thing by making sure that you're trained the right way. There's some things that you're not allowed to do, or some things that you don't. I mean, some parents will tell you that because you are a man, you're a boy that will grow into a man, I would never let you see where a man raises his hand against a woman. So you should never, no matter what a woman does, you never raise your hand against a woman. That kind of a child, will grow up believing that and will always challenge it whenever it comes across such, Yeah. And so this is where it still comes back to each home. And as Christians, for everything we discuss on this show, we always link it back to what is our role as Christians,
yes.
Because that's what's most important for us.
Yes, and I think on that point, actually, I'll just closing kind of my thoughts on that point. When I was saying, would it be possible to change the heart of man, right? Because that's where the issue is, fundamentally speaking. Well, that's actually the Christian message, right? That says that when a person is in Christ, old things have passed away. At least a foundation for renewal and transformation is laid. Yeah. Of course, it's a journey, but at least this is one worldview that calls you to renewal, not by your own acts of trying to make things right, but actually by relying on God to help you to go on that journey of transformation. Absolutely. And I believe that really, and I, to be fair, it's not just the Christian worldview. There are other worldviews that also try to identify that there are issues with the heart and with humanity. But what makes the Christian faith different is that it says it's not by what you do. It's not, you can't pull yourself out of a hole by yourself. You need somebody else to help you.
Somebody else to do so.
So many others will say, you do this, do these 12 steps, do this pilgrimage, do this one, do that one, do that one. Ultimately, does that change the heart of man? I don't know. The jury is out. But the Christian faith tells us clearly, right? It's about coming from darkness to light and coming from death to life. And once you're awake, alive in the spirit, then that transformation can happen. Obviously, I'm not saying that all Christians actually don't do bad things. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm saying that the example and our gold standard for Christianity should allow the transformation of the heart. It's a journey. We should ourselves come on that journey and submit our hearts. And then to the second point you're making, is this cultural part of it. Then we can do what the Bible says, train up our children the way they should go, and when they grow, they grow. But what are we teaching our children? We need to be transformed first. We need to be in a place where we are doing the right things, not just doing the right things, but we're in the right place. Right? When that transformation happens inside and it works outwards, then we're starting from a platform that really, identifies the problem and deals with it. And I think one of the issues that we have, and I'm just going to round off here because I'm looking at the time, but one of the issues we've had as a society, particularly in the Western world, is this moving away from the idea of the need for salvation. Because if there's nothing wrong, then you don't need to be saved. And then you have all of these kind of spinning your wheels in the sand because you say, okay, let's train people, let's teach them, let's educate them. Okay, keep doing that. But it's not going to change the heart of the wickedness of man's heart. You need a transformation. You need something more in order for people to actually change fundamentally and stop aspiring and hungering for things that are evil and start aspiring for and hungering for things that are good and are just and are pure, as the Bible tells us. But
you're right. You're so right, Prof. You're so right. And I think at this point, I would like to use this opportunity to invite all our viewers. If you don't join the 12 o'clock prayers on Saturdays, praying for soul, even I am reminding myself as well, please, let's join. I think we're at that point now that we just need to be praying for the souls of everyone to be saved. Because if they're all saved, then we have a more better, easier, safer world to live in, right? Yeah. So guys, don't go anywhere. When we're back, it will be our Spotlight Minute. See you soon.
See you.
Hello, Mayowa. Good morning. How are you?
Hello. Morning. How are you?
How are you two doing?
Very well, thank you. Very well, thank you. You look well.
Thank you.
Seems like I haven't seen you in a long time.
It's been a year, at least a year, I'm sure, right now.
She's often at the Rock Tower, on Sundays.
Well, yes, it's true. But actually, I saw you a couple of times there.
Well, actually, as we're talking now, I'm pretty sure she's she's possibly somewhere in a room in the rock house because it's almost time for the service, right? So don't record it there.
Right.
So,
so we won't keep you for too long because we know that you also need to get into service. But yes, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Viewers, please welcome our lovely Mayowa, who's joining us for the Spotlight Minutes this morning. So Mayowa, before we get into the Spotlight Minutes, do you want to tell us one thing that we possibly don't know about you, so we can get a bit of insight into who you are?
So I think one thing you might not know about me is I'm actually the eldest of 4 children. So funny story, I get a lot of people who think I'm either the last born or an only child. I don't know what vibes I give off.
Only child vibe. Last born vibe. Okay.
Yeah. I'm the responsible firstborn, I hope.
Of course I know all that. But it's not the others who don't know,
But I'm probably like in the pool of people who thinks you're last born,
Really?
So I'm telling you, honestly. No. But it's good. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. I'm a last born, so it doesn't really matter, and I'm great. So yeah. I know you are. Yeah, Prof, you can roll your eyes again.
Yeah, let's just move on.
Anyways, thank you so very much for sharing that with us. That's really good. So next time I see you, I'll be like, oh yeah, that's the responsible firstborn. Thank you. Yeah. Right. So we will get into our Spotlight Minutes now. So finally last week, IJ took the reign. She answered 6 questions under 30 seconds. Now, let's see how many you will get through this morning. Prof will read out the questions to you, and then if you don't know any answer, just say pass so you can read another one. Remember, time is of essence. So yeah, the race is a bit tighter now because you have 6 questions to get past to get the reign. Prof, are you ready?
Good to go.
Good to go. Mayowa, are you ready?
I am ready.
The timer will be on your screen. If you can't see it, don't worry. I will tell you when your time is up, okay? And I'll shout when it's time. All right, we're going to start now, and then your time starts now.
What was your favorite subject in school?
English.
What was the last concert you went to?
Burna Boy.
What was the last show you binge watched?
Hamilton.
Who is your favorite band?
Backstreet Boys.
What other language can you speak?
Spanish.
Do you like trying new things? What is it?
Holidaying.
What is your drink of choice?
Coffee.
What's your favorite? That was 7, wasn't it? That was 7.
Was it 7?
That was 7. That was 7. Wow.
Excellent.
I told you somebody, because you could see all those guys. In fact, I thought, when you paused about the question around trying new things, I thought you were going to miss it. But
no,
wow.
But do you know what?
Amazing.
That was fantastic. That was so good.
Wow. Mayowa, could you see the questions? When you were answering, like you could see the questions. Amazing. Good stuff.
I know. Well done. IJ, sorry, Mayowa wouldn't let you enjoy your trophy.
And I have to say, I feel particularly proud knowing that Mayowa also is actually in the ministry that I oversee.
God.
Congratulations.
Oh, God. Didn't I know this was coming? Are you sure? Okay, in that case, are you sure you didn't share the questions with her before the show? Because yes, you want to start funzing now because we have a winner. Anyway, I am glad that
well
you
done,
won.
Mayowa.
IJ, sorry. So you have to pass the crown over to Mayowa. Mayowa, well done. I think this is getting really tougher now. I would like to see who's going to go over 7 questions. Fantastic.
Well
Excellent.
Done.
Thank you so much for joining us.
All right.
Yes, we'll see you in service. Okay, take care. See you soon.
Yeah, bye.
Oh, wow. That was awesome. My goodness.
Yeah. That was a masterclass. That was a masterclass.
I think it was. I think for our viewers, so if you're coming on the show, I'm sure Mayowa will be charging some consultancy fees to get a bit of insight into how to answer these questions. Because, she did 7 questions. Wow.
You know the funny thing? She could actually have done more. So it is possible.
I know, yes, it is possible. So yes, maybe you're going to come on and get like 8, 9, 10. Let's see. But yeah, anyway, thank you so much, guys, for joining us this morning. It has been fantastic. Mayowa, well done to you. Thank you. You can enjoy the crown for the next, however long. And it's time for our service. And as always, Prof, over to you.
Thank you, Baby, and thank you everyone for sticking with us so far. Obviously, we're in push season, right? And we've been pushing for what this is a full week now. And as we cross over to the service now, don't forget we're still on the matter of wisdom. Let's find this wisdom together. No doubt Pastor Temi has got something for us. See you on the service. Don't go anywhere. God bless you. Take care.
God bless you guys. See you. Bye.